Shaq and Dwight Howard have been going at it online. These two former great big men have had a war of words the last few days. So I just want to read some excerpts from this article that breaks down how this feud started, at least recently. They've been feuding for years. So it says here Shaquille O'Neal and Dwight Howard are embroiled in a war of words in the latest escalation of their years long beef. It all started with Howard's January 6th appearance on the GAUDS show. Howard was reflecting on when he first started referring to himself as Superman in 2010, a title that fellow NBA star center O'Neal had given himself. At the time, Howard just wanted their animosity to stay on the court. I would like, instead of people fighting over a nickname, for us to be able to talk about what it's like to win a championship, he said, per ESPN. Just little things that him being who he is can help me. All right. And so it says here, Shaq, he said he never disrespected Shaq on this show. And here's his quote, but he's always had something to say. There's times when I've gotten upset and I'm like, yo, Shaq, this got to stop, man. I tried to talk to him. So that's what Dwight said. Now Shaq has responded. He threw the first insults towards Dwight on the X platform. Here's what he said first. The fact you think I care about you is funny, but I won't ever bring your name up again. Sensitive big man, a jokester that can't take a joke. Won't ever say your name again, ever again, Shaq wrote on X. Have a great day. And now you have been deleted. Have a great day. Okay, that seems very cheesy, but let's see the response. And then Dwight responded back with a fiery attack. I know you care because your insecure ass has been hating and talking shit for 20 years. You're too big to be this insecure. I hope you don't bring my name up again. The 39-year-old said, 52 years old, tweeting me and still hating. Now, all this time, you was joking. You have always been jealous. Jealous of Kobe, Penny Hardaway, D. Wade. You're jealous of Charles Barkley, too. Go move around. Big, lazy, insecure ass. I still have that long 5-paragraph direct message you sent me a couple years ago telling me that I'm not that great to hate. And you still doing it. All right. And then Shaq did respond back. Let's see what he said. So in his latest attack, just I believe a few hours ago, he said, still don't care. Nice move. I see what you're doing. Your legacy is your new podcast, Above the Rim with DH12. That's how you'll be remembered. And you need views. Damn, I taught you well. Great job. Hall of Fame podcaster, but still don't care. You need the sit down. You need my validation. I don't need yours. How will you be remembered? Think about that podcast, boy. I want an empire to run. Now leave me, son. I've been talking 20 years, but you want to squabble at 50? Well, I decline. I'm too old. Again, nice move. Love you, son. I do have to laugh at this. I think even Shaq knows deep down inside if he tried to get into a fist fight with Dwight at his old age, he would lose. Say what you want about Dwight. That man is still ripped and is still in great shape. He looks like he could be a WWE wrestler. Just whatever he's done off the court, all discussing perverted stuff, I will never say that man is physically weak. That would just be stupid. Just in a one-on-one fight at this age, Dwight would win. That's why Shaq would never take up an offer from Dwight to fight him one-on-one. But when I look at this war of words between these two guys, I fully blame that on Shaq now, because from what I gathered from this article, that Dwight actually came in with a respectful response to that show when talked about Shaq. He was just honest, like, hey, I just wish he would stop attacking me and we could just bond over something about just what it's like to be a champion, just that experience and whatnot. But I just don't want to feud with this guy anymore. That's what Dwight was saying. And then Shaq got pissed off and started just attacking him left and right, calling him sensitive, saying he can't take a joke and whatnot. This is one thing I always find stupid about Shaq. Just like when he insults people and people respond back to him, he'll pull that dumb line saying like, "Oh, I was just joking." It's like, "I was just joking. You can't take a joke." That's what he would say. He just sounds so stupid. I'm like, Shaq, we know you're not joking. We know you're being spiteful, hateful, just with your insults. That's the truth. You're not joking. You're looking to put down this man and embarrass him. And I say this as someone who's not a fan of Dwight, but just that's keeping it 100. You're trying to embarrass him, and you're not funny, Shaq. Yes, I'm gonna say it. You're not funny. You're only funny for stupid people who have elementary like brains. They find you funny, but for grown people, you're not funny. You're just an idiot most of the time. Your jokes are not funny. And there's truth to what Dwight said about him being jealous of everybody, like what he said about him being jealous of Barkley. I think for sure Shaq is jealous of Barkley on Inside the NBA because people watch that show for Barkley. They don't watch it for Shaq. Barkley is legit funny. He's not what I call stupid funny, but legit funny with his quick timing, his wit, his sarcasm. Just he's the complete package. And yeah, Shaq is jealous. But when I think of Shaq, I just think of a guy who needs to be popular through bullying others. Just there's actually two ways you can be popular, and people have done these studies, especially at the lowest level when it comes to kids in elementary, middle school, and high school. And the two types of people they found popular at that level, and this goes even after that into adulthood, is either people who bully others or people who are charismatic. But it's hard to have charisma. Very few people have that. So a lot of people who are popular tend to be bullies. They tend to put down others, and that's why they're popular. They need an audience, and they get the audience through putting someone down. And that's always been Shaq. Granted, I do acknowledge Shaq's greatness. He is a top 10 all-time great in my eyes. I'm in that category, but outside of basketball, he needs an audience. He cannot live without it. He's a narcissist. He's even admitted that in interviews that he suffers from that. He needs to always have a target to put down, to build himself up, and to have a crowd of people rooting for him against this target. It's been so many different people throughout his career. Like I remember growing up as a Spurs fan during the 90s, Shaq always targeting the Spurs. First, he would target David Robinson with all the insults. And he even made up a lie once that when he was a kid, David Robinson never gave him an autograph when he lived in San Antonio. And later on, people were able to confirm that story was a lie because the timing was off. I think when Shaq gave the date that I think he wasn't in San Antonio at the time, or David wasn't there. It was some timing was off about it that they confirmed. And later on, Shaq admitted he lied about that story because he needed a reason to hate David Robinson and whatnot. I always thought that was stupid. And the time when he had it out for the Spurs, in which he called both Tim Duncan and David Robinson WNBA players after they won their championship, and started running with that asterisk shtick, him and Phil Jackson coined. So he's always needed an audience, man. He's always needed to put someone down to build himself up. This is who he is. I've always viewed him as a rotten person, despite being one of the all-time greats. You read about some of the stories, what he's done to former teammates. Like Gary Payton, for instance, said that Shaq would piss in a big bucket, and then he would just throw it on random teammates on his team, which is disgusting. There's one disgusting story I remember reading in the book Three Ring Circus, which is a great book I recommend for people to read. It's about the Lakers' three-peat championship years. Very entertaining book. But anyways, in that book, there's one excerpt where Shaq was upset at Sean Rooks, this backup center who played for the Lakers during the late 90s. I think Sean Rooks may not have had a good game when he came off the bench or something, and Shaq got angry. So what he did was he put his own feces in Sean Rooks' shoes. He put it in his shoes, and Sean Rooks didn't know that. So Sean Rooks puts on his shoes, then he realizes he just put on some shit right on. Just literally stepped in some shit. And obviously Sean Rooks didn't do nothing because Shaq is Shaq, and he was scared of Shaq. But still, that's just disgusting. That's just disgusting. And then there's a story when him and Rick Fox just randomly jumped Devin George when he was a rookie with the Lakers, just for jumping him for the fun of it after practice. They jumped him. They tore off his clothes. They taped him to the ground and then just ran off. And it took a janitor to untape Devin George, and he was naked and shit. So that's a true story, by the way. Shaq confirmed it in that book. He actually quoted himself and said he did do that. So Shaq is an awful person, man. He's a bully. That's really what he gets off of on bullying others, and he just doesn't know when to stop. That's part of his brand is bullying others, putting them down, building himself up, and just doing these childish antics. I don't think this man can exist without putting others down. And like he was saying with Dwight, that he's not going to waste his time with him, but I just don't buy that. Shaq is like a bully. He cannot exist without a target. So I don't think he'll stop the squabble with Dwight. I would like to. I would be surprised if he didn't say something about him later on. But I just think Shaq is just a immature overall, rotten person, and he's able to hide that with being able to trick people with his playfulness and all this other garbage. But I see through it. He's one of those guys that will be playful and friendly towards you as long as he feels you're not a threat to him, in the sense that you cannot overshine him, that you cannot take, his attention away, just the spotlight away from him. The moment he sees that you're a threat to him, that you take the spotlight away from him, he will come after you, and he's very nasty. Or the moment you disagree with him, he will come for you. That's how people like Shaq are. That's how narcissists are. So he's very egotistical. That's what I would say. Just a terrible person, and just not a good elder statesman in the game. There's just some guys I have tremendous respect for the way they conducted themselves after they retired, and they were legendary players. Just one example is the late great Bill Russell, just all-time great. You can make a GOAT argument for him. Just he's legendary, but you never saw Bill Russell put down guys, target them, insult them. He really was an elder statesman. He would actually try to elevate the generations after him and just give them advice whenever they needed it from him, and just be a guy who would support them. And I think that's the way you should be when you're older, as just a person. But I think in America in general, we have just so many of these different cultural wars, whether it's race, gender, just all this other stuff. And I just put generational wars in there, where it's always like the older generation treats the younger generation like shit and likes to continuously put them down, as we've seen just with just the baby boomers trashing the generations after them. And then you see it with Xers now trashing millennials and Gen Z. And I'm sure as an elder millennial, I don't know. I think we might break the streak. We might be better and not trash the generation after us, but it's more like a wait and see thing. But it used to be like this in America, where the elder generation would be like the mentor to the younger generation and help to elevate them. And by doing that, you elevate society. But we don't have that anymore. And I think, it's reflected in even these wars with these old retired players and these young players. And Shaq just shows that, just that in a nutshell. But I just wanted to just make that remark. But I don't have anything else to say.